Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our sports show. This week we have a special premiere in the second half of our sports show. We've an exclusive interview where we're featuring the track and field world global stars who have left their mark in the industry. We're looking at global track and field stars throughout the ages, throughout the decades, whether it be the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, or even late into this current year as well. We've spoken to everyone from the likes of Justin Gatlin, Tyson Gay, Karani James, to name a few, Carmelita Jeter, to name a few. But we're going back in time now. We're going to speak to a guy who's competed in both the 2004 Athens Olympics, the 2012 London Olympics. He competed in the 800 meters. His highest world ranking was 6th. He said a personal best in the 800 meters was 1 minute 43.68 seconds. In the 1500 meters, which he also competed, his best was 3 minutes 46 and 74 seconds. He's a 4-time US champion, both in outdoors and indoors, and he competed in 7 world championships from 1999 to 2011. The one and only Khadevis Robinson. And Khadevis, first of all, a pleasure to join us, sir, today. And I see you're very much busy with the coaching work. You have a great backdrop in the back of us. That sort of cap that you're on, is that Tennessee College, is it?
No. That's TCU. So I don't know if you can see it right here. TCU. Yeah, we got it TCU. Right. Yep. So you can see the Horned Frogs in the back.
Yes. Khadevis, growing up in your house, was it always a rich sort of sporting sort of tradition? Did you or your family, were you much embedded in sports? And I realized doing my research into you were a big football guy growing up. That was your main sort of passion. That was your sort of main dream. And what team did you follow? Were you a 49ers fan? Were you Pittsburgh Steelers? What was the main ambition for Khadevis Robinson growing up in terms of what team did he want to play American football? And was that dream on the right sort of path until athletics took over?
Yeah, so here I am. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas right now. That's right outside of Dallas. And so
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. So that you know the answer now, because if you're from this area, you're a Cowboys fan. I was no different. Huge, avid Dallas Cowboys fan, still am. And so that's where it all started. And then, I played a little bit of everything, pretty much of every sport. And from that, I was able to find my talent skill set in track and field, and the rest is history.
And Khadevis, if I'm correct, when you were playing football at a young age, you suffered a very bad wrist injury. You broke your wrist fairly bad, and you were advised at that time that while it was sort of healing and it mightn't heal properly, that you might need to do something else to keep active. And someone recommended you running and sprinting and track and field, but apparently if that wrist injury had never come about, basically we wouldn't be talking to Khadevis Robinson, the athlete, basically today. Is that correct?
Well, who knows? God works in mysterious ways. There are no coincidences. So the wrist, I broke my wrist my junior year in football. That year, because I broke my wrist, I wanted to still letter in the sport in high school. And so I ran track, and I had a lot of friends that ran track. We had a pretty good track team, and I just rolled with it. But the universe, God, or whatever you want to call it, throws us curveballs, throws us hurdles, throws us obstacles. And to be quite honest with you, is how we adjust to those obstacles. In my favorite book, it says, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, meaning as I go through something that's very tough and challenging, how do I uphold my courage during those times? And when I broke my wrist at the time, it was sad, down, and depressing, but who knows what comes out of that? And that's kind of how my journey started.
And Khadevis, in terms of the track and field, making that transition, were you a light sort of agile guy? Were you sort of scrawny? Were you naturally sort of fast in pace? Or did you have to make transitions coming from a football career where it's very much you're told to bulk up from a young age in terms of that? Well, athletes, it's more the less body intensity that you have. It obviously makes you go that much quicker.
The thing about track and field and running is you get out of it what you put into it. The clock doesn't lie. And so I excuse me, I had some speed, but not like, I wasn't Justin Gatlin or Tyson Gay or any of those guys, Carmelita Jeter. I was just a guy that had some talent. But to be quite honest with you, what I did, I had to develop my talent. I had to work really, 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 really hard. I had to dedicate myself. I had to make a lot of sacrifices to even be kind of good. And the thing is, I knew I wasn't the most talented. I knew I wasn't the most fast. I knew I wasn't the most, whatever you want to call it. So I always knew I really had to work extremely hard. I had to, really listen to my coaches. One of my favorite quotes is, if you're coachable, trainable, and teachable, I can make you unstoppable. And so one thing that I was, my career was, I was coachable, trainable, and teachable.
And Khadevis, one of the things that struck me doing your research for you was, normally when people suffer career setbacks and career hackbacks, it can take so much time to get over it. It can start to log in the memory. It can hurt so much that an athlete never really is the same. But you had a terrible experience when you missed out on your first Olympics, that you came so close on being on that ticket to be a US Olympian. But it was almost like the making of you, because when you went to the Olympics in 2004 in Athens, almost felt you were ready to explode, to come out of your shell, to let all that exuberance that you missed the first time come out. So while other people, that sort of setback, they could probably take them a year or two to recover. They can sort of self-doubt and pity and say, well, this is my chance. My chance is gone now. My window is gone. But for you, you sort of flipped it around and used it as another sort of tool to your advantage.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm from the inner city. And so I've only known having to overcome obstacles. That was kind of normal for me. And so when I didn't make the Olympic team in 2000, it ended up being a good thing. And you say, well, why? And the reason was because it made me have to figure out, why was I doing it in the first place, right? And then not only that, I'll tell you a story. So when I didn't make the team in 2000, I lived in Santa Monica, California, one of the most beautiful, amazing places on the face of the earth. It was the summer. I was in LA, in Santa Monica, California. I had just graduated from college a couple of years earlier. I was making a little decent money, had a contract, ran for Nike in the Santa Monica Track Club. So on the surface, everything was great. I'm a 23 or whatever it is, year old kid, living in LA in Santa Monica, California, great life, in shape, the whole nine. But because I didn't make the team, I was in my apartment twiddling my thumbs. I mean, literally twiddling my thumbs in the apartment. And 5 minutes away down the road is Venice Beach, Santa Monica Pier. And I had money in my account, but I felt like I hadn't done anything. I couldn't do anything. I felt down. I felt like, I was somewhat of a failure. And it's like, really? So it made me say, hold on now, Katie, you need to have more of a balanced life. Running and competing and doing these things is what you do, but it doesn't fully define you. And so I told myself, never again. And what I meant by that was, I needed to have more things in my life so that if one of them didn't go as well, it wouldn't totally devastate me to the point that I wasn't doing anything. It wouldn't devastate me so much that I couldn't see the Santa Monica Pier or Venice Beach right down the street. And it took my friends who were still back home in the inner city to say, okay, man, you didn't make the team, but how's Venice Beach? They had never left the Fort Worth, Texas. They had never been to Santa Monica Pier. They had never been to LA. They had never been to the Hollywood sign or whatever it may be. And they're saying, man, it sucks that you didn't make the Olympic team. It sucks but dude, you think about it sucking where you're at. It sucks, but you got Venice Beach you can go to, or Santa Monica or LA. And I had to start thinking like that. And that really helped me out.
Yeah. And Khadevis, in terms of the 800 meters for you, obviously you shot up the rankings, obviously highest number, ranked number 6 in the world. But in terms of, when we think of the 800 meters, we probably think of the short and distance runners, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians that have a sort of a history in those sorts of events. Was it difficult enough in terms of coming out of US trials, coming out of US competition where you're so dominant, and then you're going to the worlds and you meet these guys that you probably only wouldn't have come up against in your own sort of country, that were probably in a different type of athlete altogether than the US athlete, than the Canadian athletes, than the athletes that you would have ran in college and NCSAs and all that. These are different athletes that you would have never come across before, and they're coming from different backgrounds where they practically had to run to school when they were young, or to run. There was no such thing as buses in their days, so that's all they've ever known. What was that sort of adjustment? Because 100 and 200 meters, it's very much American driven, Jamaican sort of driven. But as you go up the distances in terms of 800s, the 15-100s, these guys who are not the marathon runners, these sort of step down into these sort of domains and tend to dominate. Was that sort of difficult for you to try and prepare for these guys?
I think the way we have to look at it is a little different. I think on the surface, it appears that they're a little bit ahead of the rest of the world, or us in the US, when it comes to the 800, the 1500, and the distances. But I think you got to look at it from a standpoint of going, it's hard enough just making the USA team. Like, it's hard getting out of that. So for some of us, at our skill set, we have to tap out just to make it at the trials. So to peak out to make it at the trials and then try to peak again is very difficult. Now, if we could just peak that one time and go up against them like that, we could compete much better. We still compete, but we compete much better. But having to say, okay, no matter what my ranking is, if I don't get top 3 at the USA trials, then I'm not going to make a team. So having to do that and then having to come again and go again is a difficult thing. Secondly, let me see if I can explain this, right? So there's some places that if they go and they win a race or get top 3 in a race, the money they would make could last them 5 months. Well, the US is pretty expensive. So our price point of what it's going to take to make a decent living that we can live off of is different. So for instance, if I go to a race and I make $3,000, $5,000, whatever, I mean, that's 1 month. You get what I'm saying? So whereas for some of them, if they make 5,000, they can live off of that for almost 6 months, maybe even a year for some, just depending on where they're at in the houses. So I'm trying to give the dynamics of what comes into play. And then also, if we go to a race and we're like running a race and it's like, okay, the prize money is $10,000. Well, again, we're going to look at it like, okay, that's 2 months, maybe 3 months of living if you budget properly. Where somebody else, that might be 2 years. So the motivation behind it is different. So yeah, you're going to do your best. You're not thinking about that stuff. But I would like to imagine that if you had a dog chasing you, right? You're going to run fast enough to get away from the dog, right? If it's just a regular dog. If that dog becomes a huge pit bull dog, you might be a little bit more motivated, because it's like, yeah, I don't want any dog to bite me, but this pit bull, who knows? They've known in some circles to be pretty aggressive. So you might just find somewhere to go a little bit faster, just because. And if that becomes a bear, you might just find somewhere in there to run a little bit harder if it's a lion or a bear. Even though when you're running from that dog, you're not thinking in those terms. You're thinking you're running as fast as you can, as far as you can, because you're motivated not to get bit by this dog. But if that bear or lion was to come, oh, you follow what I'm saying? Like, different motivations does come into play at different times, even though consciously you're not thinking that way, but subconsciously, and I think that has something to do with it too, And so a lot of those individuals, they're all in, man. When I say all in, I mean all in, because the lifestyle is eat, sleep, and train. And where they're at, they don't have as many distractions with other parts of life that I think some of us may have here.
And just before we start to wrap up now, Khadevis, I just want to bring you on to the 2012 London Olympics. In terms of that experience, I remember watching it, the showcase event, and it was really a spectacular Olympics. Was that your favorite Olympics? I know the first one means an awful lot, but the whole spectacular scene. And what are your sort of memories of the London Olympics being a track? Did you go around, see many other events apart yourself? To being in the Olympic Village and all that sort of lifestyle that sort of comes with it? And was it a real jaw-dropping experience for a guy that grew up in humble beginnings in Fort Texas?
Yeah, the Olympics, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I truly believe 100% every human being should go to one Olympic Games. I just think it's a different ballgame. I mean, because you got to realize it's not just track and field, it's every sport. And it's not just the US or not just Europe, it's every country, every continent. Every country, every continent on the face of the earth, pretty much every sport on the face of the earth, they're all in one place for something positive. It's everybody's there happy. They're all there for a positive event in one area. And every country in the face of the earth, you know, pretty much every sport, men and women, all together for something excited and they happy about. You can't get it nowhere else. Period. And if you go there, and I'm not saying go to track and field, you can go there and go to gymnastics, you can go there and go to soccer, you can go there and do, watch swimming, whatever it may be. And you're just gonna see these people that look like regular people, and they're absolutely amazing people. You're gonna see tiny young ladies that look like little girls, and they're gonna be the most amazing gymnasts in the face in the world. You're gonna see guys that are as big as professional wrestlers and bodybuilders and football and American football players, and they're gonna be shot putters. I mean, you're gonna see tall people that's basketball players. I mean, you're gonna see some of the guys that look so normal, but they're football / soccer players, and it's like they're all in the same area. You're gonna see Sports Illustrated models. You're gonna see people from Brazil. I mean, just everything in one area at this time for a good purpose. So I think, man, I tell everybody, you got to make one Olympic Games and just go around to different events, talk to different people, and it'll change your life.
Yeah. And Khadevis Robinson, now for the last 30 seconds, if you look in the mirror and you to see yourself in the pomp as a 26, 27-year-old sprinter at the height of your game, and for your students now, if you start to point out what's looking at him for a perspective view, what would you ever say is his strengths as a sprinter, but as a human person as well?
Main thing is enjoy the moments. Enjoy the moments. I'll tell this story, and this will do it. My birthday is in July, middle of July. So every summer when I was a professional, I would be overseas in Europe, Brazil, Russia, wherever for my birthday. And one time it just so happened I was in Paris, France for my birthday. And I had a race either the day before or the day on my birthday, and I had to run. And I got second or third. I can't remember what place I got. So I had some friends that called me while I was over there, and they say, "How was your birthday?" And I said it was all right. And they said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm in Paris, France." They say, "Oh man, how was it?" And I said, "I was all right. I got third place." And they said, "Oh, okay, yeah, but how was it? How was your birthday?" I said, I thought I should have won the race. I was really close. Guy nipped me out. Other guy got me. I got third place. I was kind of pissed about that. And they're like, "KD, no. Like, how was Paris, France?" And then they hit me. They were saying, "Dude, we never left the country before. You're telling me how the results of a race was. We're trying to figure out, man, how was it being in Paris, France on your birthday, dude? Like, did you go to the Eiffel Tower? Did you eat ice cream? What did you see?" And I thought, here I am focusing on not performing well in my job and running and how I can do better. And I'm missing the picture of, man, it's another year, another birthday, and look where you're at. And that woke me up. So I tell everybody, no matter what you're doing, if you're a teacher, if you're a garbage person, no matter what it is, as you navigate through this thing called life, take the time to look at it and enjoy the good times. When you're eating ice cream, eat the ice cream and put the work down. When you're with your family, enjoy the time you're with your family. And don't get so caught up in going, well, I gotta hurry up, I gotta go do this work, or I'm not making enough money here, or I could be doing better. There's sometimes in life you have to just enjoy where you at and what you're doing with whom you're with. And that's hard to do this day and age because we got these cell phones, we got social media, we got all this stuff, and we're so busy trying to get. We're so busy trying to do more and get more and do all of this that we miss that we're in. I'm at the Eiffel Tower on my birthday. Wow, there's people that would pray for that. And here I am thinking about my next race. Oh, I got another race in 2 days, I'm gonna do better. Why think about your next race when you're someplace that people are planning they're planning for 5 years, and 5 years, our vacation is going to be, we're going to go to Paris, France, and we're going to go to the Eiffel Tower, and we're going to go there, and that's the plan. I'm going to save my money up, and we're going to do this. I can't wait. And you're there on your birthday. And all you can think about is the next race in some other place. Enjoy those moments right now.
And you certainly did throughout your career, Khadevis Robinson. Enjoy what was a fruitful career from 1998 to 2012. 2 Olympic Games in Athens 2004 and the London Olympics 2012. Personal best in the 800 meters, 1 minute 43 seconds 68. 4-time US champion, both indoors and outdoors, completed in 7 world championships. Records in the 4x4 400 meter relay, an NCAA college champion, highest world ranking, number 6 in the world. From a guy that came from Fort Wood, Texas. Definitely made it all the way on the world stage. Thanks for taking your time to speak to us today, Khadevis. And hopefully some of your students can follow you in the same path and live the career you live. But for the moment, Khadevis Robinson, take care and God bless.
Thank you. I appreciate it.